Although I was neither vampire nor banshee, nor any sort of darkness-dwelling denizen, and I was certainly no longer an assassin, I wasn't normal, and it was Trilby who kept reminding me of that fact. Their repeated suggestion that I was responsible for the waifs and strays of Coldstream, and in particular my own small suburb of Danksville, was the reason why I was perched on top of Mrs. Jones's roof at 2:30 in the morning. That, and the fact that there had been a recent spate of late-night robberies. If I were being honest, I didn't usually spend my time railing against thieves or trying to halt their actions. Given my own past, I wasn't in a position to judge them. Most of the time, they didn't physically hurt anyone. In fact, most of the time, they performed their burglaries and home invasions when their targets were out at work and the houses were empty. It was far safer and more sensible to steal when you weren't likely to be caught by an irate homeowner with an explosive magical spell in their dressing gown pocket. However, the thief currently terrorizing my neighbours had decided to throw logic and reason out of the proverbial window. For the past 5 nights, someone had broken into 12 separate occupied properties, 3 of which were on my street. Their actions were causing angst in my community, and I was curious why our less than salubrious neighbourhood was garnering such unpleasant attention. I also wanted to know why any thief would take such obvious risks. Sooner or later, somebody would end up dead, and it was likely to be the burglar. I reckoned I could forestall any bloodshed if I found them first. A warm breeze swirled up from below, making my sleek fur ripple. Although my feline eyes could pierce the darkness and fix on any twitch or jerk from a living or undead creature prowling the night, I had yet to locate my target. There had been 2 strolling vamps an hour earlier, their heads bowed together in deep conversation, and around midnight I'd spotted a boggart shuffling towards the river. I'd noted several scurrying rats, and I was fairly certain the slinking figure of my old buddy, She Who Hisses, had been padding behind them. But there hadn't been any sign of my thief. I turned my head left and right, then raised my front paw and gave it a vigorous lick before starting to wash my face. I might be in a temporary body, but that was no reason not to maintain standards of cleanliness. Once I was satisfied, I flexed my claws and stretched my back. Everything was in working order. I shook out my fur and jumped to the next roof. I'd patrolled this way 3 times already, so I'd give it another hour, then call it a night. It was late April, after all, and although the summer solstice was still 2 months away, dawn came early at this time of year. I was determined to get at least some sleep before the business of the day began. A woman could only do so much. I pattered along the tiles, leaping across the chimneys that stood in my way until I reached the end of the terrace of houses. I was tempted to drop to the ground and do a swift sweep of the surrounding streets, but as soon as that thought popped into my head, there was a flicker of movement to my right. I turned.